Very recently on Instagram, I asked you guys the question, what is the last thing you typed into Google when it comes to fertility? And I got a lot of responses, which I love. Thank you guys so much. And it made me think, well, I'm going to answer all these on the podcast. So today we have another round of frequently asked questions, fertility edition, and we're going to answer those right now. Hey friend, welcome to the Fruitful Fertility Podcast. Do you want to better understand your body so you can get pregnant naturally? Do you find yourself up late at night Googling how to ovulate on your own or natural fertility tips? Do you feel lost on what your next step should be? Hey, I'm Tori, a registered nurse, Christian fertility coach, and your new TTC BFF. When I started my fertility practice, I realized how much the modern medical system was missing when it came to supporting women trying to get pregnant. I knew God had called me to this space to bridge that gap and provide more natural fertility support and education. With time and a little trial and error, I found a foundational way to assess infertility cases and get better results. In this podcast, you will finally understand how your body and fertility work, support to stay off that emotional roller coaster, and a proven strategy to improve ovulation and increase your fertility naturally. If you're ready to get started, drop those ovulation sticks and grab a pen because, girl, you look fertile to me. If you are someone who follows me on Instagram and you participate in these polls and these questions I ask in my stories, thank you so much because like I said in the intro, this really helps me with market research. It really helps me to pinpoint the things you guys are struggling with and create content around that. So I'm really serving you and giving you the answers you're looking for. I don't want to be off in left field talking about whatever when that's not your concern. I want to make sure that we're on the same page. I'm helping you walk through this and it all makes sense. So thank you for helping me. If you're not following me on Instagram, there's a link in the show notes where you can. I'd love for you to come over there and be part of the community. But let's dive into these questions that you guys asked. So I'm taking them straight from what you typed in on the box, and I'm just going in order of the way they came in. So number one is how to tell if you're ovulating. So I do have a cycle syncing guide that's totally free. I'm going to put that in the show notes for you as well. And it tells you a little bit about how to keep cycle tracking really simple and my method for using it, the one I use with my clients, and how to tell if you're ovulating. Because there's a few things we're looking for. We're basically looking for a change in cervical fluid. We want to see it go from that thick, sticky white to that egg, watery, stretchy consistency. That is an indicator. We want to see a little bump in temperature. So if you're taking your basal body temperature, you're going to do this while you're still in bed before you get up and move. If you get up and go to the bathroom, it's too late. You have to do it before you get out of bed. So put your thermometer on your nightstand next to you and take it as soon as you wake up. But if we see a little jump in temperature, that indicates ovulation as well. Now, if you really want to know for sure, like you want to see it in black and white, you're analytical, and you want to know that you ovulated, try the Aneto monitor. You can use the code TORI15 to get 15% off, but I love the Aneto monitor for this exact reason because it shows you in real time a jump in your PDG, which is the progesterone metabolite. And when we see that spike, that lets us know we ovulated. So if you want to dive more into that, check out episode 9. It's called The Number One Way to Nail Your Fertile Window and Confirm Ovulation. And that will go much deeper into that topic. But to recap, if how to tell if you're ovulating, you're going to see a slight rise in your temperature, you're going to see a change in your cervical mucus, and if you really want a black and white answer, you can use the Aneto monitor to do that. Okay? Number 2 goes along with this. Why am I not ovulating? So this might be slightly different for each person, but essentially it comes down to a stressor. Remember, our body is always prioritizing safety and keeping us alive, and ovulation is not a priority when it's working on something else. So while you're probably mad at your body and you're like, why are you not ovulating? You should actually pat her on the back and say something nice to her, like, thank you for keeping me safe, because she is prioritizing something else right now. And what we have to do is figure out what that is. What does she think is important? What's causing the stress? How to identify that. And this may be different for everyone. This could be exactly what you think of when it comes to emotional stress. Stress at work, stress within your relationship, the stress of trying to conceive. I know that's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? But are you dealing with some kind of emotional stress, and how can you better deal with that? It could be the stress of blood sugars. I feel like I've touched on blood sugars a lot lately, but it's truly foundational when it comes to stress and fertility. So it could be the way you're eating. It could be that you're not eating enough. That could be a stressor. So this is where you kind of go in and you look and you say, okay, what is something I'm dealing with that is like very right in front of my face? And if you can't find anything, if you're like, oh, work's pretty good, relationship's pretty good, I mean, I don't feel overly emotionally stressed, then we need to look a little bit deeper as to what's going on. And then food's a great place to start. Your nervous system is obviously a great place to start. You can do some nervous system regulation exercises and food, making sure that you're getting enough food. More often than not, I would say not really 90% of the time, my clients that I work with one-on-one and I'm digging into their labs and HTMAs and things like that, they're just not eating enough. So maybe start there. But it's really identifying that stressor. If you're wanting a little more information on what these stressors could be and kind of how to work towards improving them, check out the free Improve Your Fertility Masterclass. Again, this link is in the show notes. It's totally free. It's about a 30-minute video where I walk through basically the top 3 culprits that are affecting your fertility and my 4-step framework on how to deal with them. So grab that. It's free to you in the show notes. Okay, the next question is, if I struggle with conceiving my first, does that correlate to struggle with future babies? And this is really dependent on, 1, why you're struggling to get pregnant the first time, and 2, how you handled it. So let's do an example. If you have PCOS and so you weren't ovulating, you're having these really long cycles, and so it takes a little bit longer to get pregnant, then maybe you might struggle with that in the future if you're still dealing with ovulation issues or blood sugar issues. But I always say if you come at things from a root cause, which is exactly what this podcast is all about, root cause foundational fertility, it makes it easier to get pregnant the next time. Because once you figure out what's stressing your body and you work to improve it and nourish it, and then you get pregnant, your body remembers. It's like a muscle memory. It makes it easier to get pregnant the next time. But on the other hand, if we don't address those things, and I really don't want anyone to feel like I'm against medication or I'm against IVF or that I'm speaking badly of them, because for some people it's the right option. That's a journey that you'll go through with God and you'll talk with Him about and let Him lead the way. But what I see is people skipping the foundations and going straight to procedures and medication. And if that's the case, it likely will be harder or just as hard to get pregnant the second time because, 1, you didn't address the root cause. So the root cause is still there when you're trying to get pregnant the next time. 2, oftentimes with things like IVF and medication, it's really affecting your fertility in the long run. It's helping you get pregnant now, but it's affecting your fertility in a negative way in the long run. So the more you do, the longer you do it, the more long-term negative side effects there are long-term, if that makes sense. So this is really a loaded question, but I would say if you are struggling to get pregnant right now and you're really trying to address the root cause and you're working on your foundations and you get pregnant, it will be easier to get pregnant the second time, typically. Okay, the next question is what certain discharge means. So one thing I want you guys to think about is how you speak over your body. So that I don't like the word infertility. You won't hear me use it very often. And when I do use it, it's because I know that's the word you guys are typing in and looking for. And so there's a method behind the method behind the madness. But I hate that word. It sounds terrible in my mouth. It doesn't feel good. And I don't like for you to speak negative words over you. And so when it comes to discharge, it kind of has a negative connotation, right? Not necessarily, but we usually think of discharge as like infection, and it's gross, right? It's just gross. And that's why, and I'm assuming this question was about cervical mucus or cervical fluid. So this is kind of off topic of this question, but I would challenge you, if you call it discharge, to call it something else that has a slightly more positive tone to it. cervical mucus, cervical fluid sounds a little bit better than discharge. Now, if you're asking about discharge because you truly mean discharge, like infection or those kinds of things, really what you need to know is cervical fluid will be kind of like a white creamy color, and then it'll go clear. It won't really have a smell to it. So discharge being a problem, if it truly is discharge and not cervical fluid, it's an issue when you have colors like green, if it's a little more green, or if it has a smell to it. We're usually dealing with some type of infection. If you've ever had a yeast infection, you know it is like a creamy white, but you have the itching and the other symptoms to go with it. So this is another place of being a detective about your body and what the discharge means, or the cervical fluid. So again, I'm not sure if this question really was about discharge or if it was about cervical fluid. But cervical fluid, again, will go through different stages, kind of a thick white, sticky, to a clear to egg white consistency. Discharge is more what we see with infection, and if it has a color or a very strong smell, that's when it's an issue. And we're usually dealing with some kind of infection, whether it be bacterial or fungal or something of that nature. Okay, the next one was, how long after first sight of watery, clear cervical mucus do you ovulate? And the truth is, this will be different for everyone, but what we really need, the bigger picture here, and what I want you to focus on, the person who asked this question, and for anyone listening, what I want you to focus on is that when you get that clear cervical mucus, that egg white consistency, we are in our fertile window. And really just knowing that you're in your fertile window is more important than finding the day you ovulate. Because if we're catching those 4 days before we ovulate, while we have that clear sticky cervical mucus, or not sticky, I'm sorry, but like egg white stretchy cervical mucus, then we're in our fertile window. And so I don't want to say it doesn't matter if you're ovulating or not, and I get that it does, right? We do need to ovulate, but I don't want you guys to stress so much over finding the exact day you ovulate, because we have 6 days and they're all equally good. The day you ovulate is not necessarily better than the 2 days before. They're all fertile window days. And so to answer the question specifically, how long after the first sight of watery cervical mucus do you ovulate? That will be different for everyone. It will be within 6 days. You'll be in that window. But for some, it could be the day after. For some, it could be 4 days later. But again, focus on just hitting that fertile window, that you're timing intercourse, baby dancing, whatever you want to call it, in that fertile window, and not stressing so much about if it's the exact day you ovulate or not. Okay. The next question just said info on letrozole. And again, I am not against medication. I am pro foundations, I'm pro root cause, but I'm not against adding in something if you feel like it's the right next step for you. What I do want you guys to know and understand about letrozole is that it can have negative side effects long term, like most medications. So my background is in nursing. I'm a registered nurse. I've worked surgical floors, I've worked orthopedic floors, and even when I got into fertility, I was working PRN, so just basically part-time, even a little less than part-time, at a radiation center, a radiation oncology center. And I absolutely loved it. It was actually a great job and one of the best clinics I've ever worked at. But anyways, the first place I ever heard of letrozole was at that clinic. Letrozole was made for women who have breast cancer that's like hormonal based, because what letrozole does is it suppresses your estrogen. So if you have a breast cancer that feeds off of estrogen, grows off of estrogen, we want to knock that estrogen down to keep your cancer at bay, keep it away. We want to starve it, basically. So that is what letrozole is originally created for. Now, the off-label use, meaning kind of like an unintended side effect of this medication, is it can help you ovulate. So I just want you to know that letrozole was not made. That is not what it was made for. It was made for cancer patients. And so if we are using letrozole over and over and over and over again, what's it doing to your estrogen? It's suppressing it, because that's what it was made to do. So if you want to try letrozole, you feel like that's your next best step, I'm not telling you not to. I'm telling you to be aware and to monitor your estrogen closely, and to maybe not continue to do it. Like maybe do it for a couple of cycles and then take a break and reassess if this is what you want to move forward with, instead of just taking it for months on end. Just be aware of the side effects. So I don't know exactly when the person typed this question in, info on letrozole, exactly what they were looking for. Maybe you were looking for statistics or success rates and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to address that because I feel very strongly about that. Okay, number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, number 7 is how to lengthen luteal phase. And I feel like a broken record sometimes because just foundations help everything. So you can ask me how to start ovulating, how to lengthen your luteal phase, how to improve chances of conceiving. You can ask me these questions, and a lot of the answers are the same. We want to focus on your nervous system. We want to focus on nourishment. We want to focus on movement. And again, it's just because we're working on foundations that affect every aspect of your health and especially your fertility. So my long-winded answer for how to lengthen luteal phase is everything we talk about in this podcast. But I'm going to give you a short answer. I'm going to give you one thing to focus on because I know that's more of what you're looking for. And I would say womb work. When I do Mercier therapy with clients, I have seen it be specifically helpful in lengthening luteal phases. Now, typically when we start doing Mercier therapy, like the first couple of weeks, it throws people's cycle off. So maybe it comes a lot sooner or maybe it comes a lot later. And your body's just kind of adjusting to that healthy blood flow, the stimulation. And that's what womb work does. Womb work, we go in, we work on the uterus, we work on the ovaries, we work on all the ligaments and fascia around your reproductive organs. And that kind of just wakes it up. It's like we're just saying, hey guys, it's time to get to work. It's time to do your job. You're sleeping on the job. It creates a lot of healthy blood flow, which helps with implantation, helps with egg quality. It's just really beneficial, all natural, doesn't cost you anything. It's great. So I would say if I could give you one thing to focus on, it would be womb work. So what you can do is you can look for a Mercier therapist near you. If you go to merciertherapy.com, I believe there, and you click Receive Mercier Therapy, you can find a list of providers by state. So you can find someone near you. If this is something you just want to implement at home, you could absolutely do that as well. In the Boost Your Fertility Blueprint, the online course that I have a section called Womb Work where I show you how to do this womb work at home in just a few minutes a day. Very, very simple to implement. So if I were trying to lengthen my luteal phase, that is what I would focus on for now. The last question, which is a great question and a really great question to close out on, is how to increase chances of getting pregnant. And wouldn't you know, I actually have an episode called just that. Episode 36 is how can I increase my chances of getting pregnant? And again, that's what this whole podcast is about. If you are listening to this podcast, implementing these steps, you are increasing your chances of getting pregnant. And I know it doesn't feel like that because it's not this tangible thing you can see. There's not a chart where we can look at it and it says, oh, my fertility is going up specifically. I mean, we can see it in our cycle and things like that. But I just want you to know that these foundations that you implement every single day will help you increase your chances of getting pregnant. Now, the best way and the quickest way to improve your chances of getting pregnant is to enroll in Boost Your Fertility Blueprint. Guys, I poured my heart and soul into that course. I'm so proud of it. I think it's not that I'm wonderful or did anything great, but I just feel like the accumulation of the information in there is exactly what you're looking for. If you're wondering how to tell if you're ovulating, it's in there. If you want to know why you're not ovulating, it's in there. If you want to learn how to lengthen your luteal phase, it's in there. If you want to know how to increase your chances of getting pregnant, it is the plan inside Boost Your Fertility Blueprint. That is exactly what I made it for. I'm going to leave the link with a little more information about it in the show notes, and I encourage you to check that out and just sounds like it's something you're ready to do. This course is a self-paced course. You can go through the information in about a month. I tell everybody to take it 1 week at a time because I feel like that's the least overwhelming. You could take it a little bit faster or a little bit slower. But if you implement these things for 3 months, your fertility will improve. I can't guarantee you a pregnancy as much as I wish I could, but I can guarantee you that this is rooted in evidence-based information. It is rooted in what I have seen work for my clients. And I even give you a checklist like, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. I tell you what to do each week, and I keep it so simple to keep you from getting overwhelmed. I think even if you didn't go through the course and all you did was print that checklist and do what's on that daily checklist, you would see improvement. And I think that's really powerful. So instead of Googling and wondering and trying to figure it all out and wondering why your doctor hasn't given you answers and going through all these supplements to decide which one you want to try, I'm going to encourage you to check out Boost Your Fertility Blueprint and get started with us. We have community. We have the information. We have the community. We have the checklist. We've got you. I've got your back. So check that out. See if it's a good fit for you. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode touched your heart or taught you something, I'd be honored if you share it with a friend who could use the information too. And if you want to be the real MVP, then would you also take 30 seconds to tap those 5 stars at the bottom and leave a written review telling me what you're loving? It lights me up to know this podcast is really helping you. Don't forget, you're super cute and super fertile, so meet me back here next week and let's keep chatting and learning together.